Today is Friday, February 28th, and today I'm just wondering about, in my mind, the biggest single factor on whether or not the Cowboys can win a Super Bowl.
And now, a word from our title sponsor.
We aim to turn your nest egg into a paycheck with half the amount you've been led to believe. Fluent Financial combines in-house portfolio design and risk management with income-generating investments designed to accelerate your financial independence. Our goal is to develop an effective portfolio strategy to help you retire sooner and have a better lifestyle. Visit fluentfinancial.com.
There isn't any question how much work the Cowboys have to do this offseason. That group last year was talent poor. You can make all the other excuses you want for the team, but they simply didn't have enough good football players. By reports, the Cowboys are taking a first step in correcting that. They're keeping defensive tackle Osa Odighizuwa. We have talked endlessly about how the Cowboys over the last few years have found good players in the third round, the fourth round, and let them escape to free agency. Odighizuwa is a good player. It costs to keep him. Reports are a $21 million a year plus contract. Whoa. I'm not sure Osa is that good, but he's a good player, and the Cowboys apparently have kept him. Next up, the Micah Parsons contract. That's going to be pretty massive also. Realize the Cowboys, once they get Parsons done, and when you include Trayvon Diggs and Terrence Steele, to Odighizuwa, Parsons, Lamb, and Dak, even after the Dak contract gets redone, yes, it's just starting and it's got to be redone, but it's got to be redone. Those six, I'm going to take a wild guess. They count about $180 million against a cap that will be $279 million. That means the Cowboys will have $99 million left to get the other 40 members of their active day roster under contract. Several of them are done already, but they'll have $99 million. Then there's the draft, then there's free agency. There's tons of work to do. But let's talk about the core of this. Winning a Super Bowl is the object. I know the Cowboys haven't been to an NFC title game in 29 years, but just getting to an NFC title game is not the idea. You got to win the Super Bowl. One team wins, 31 teams lose at the end of an NFL season. What's the single biggest question mark? If the Cowboys do all their work putting the team pretty well together this offseason in the face of all these money difficulties, for me, it's the quarterback. It's Dak Prescott. Now, I don't want you to hear this as a huge criticism of Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's a good football player. Is he a very good football player? To get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl takes very good football players, very good quarterbacks. You see the list of Super Bowl winners, and occasionally a Nick Foles pops up, but generally the names you see there: Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, people like that win the Super Bowl. And even the losers, you see people like Joe Burrow and Jared Goff and Matt Ryan, and you get the picture. It takes a pretty special quarterback to get his team to and to win the Super Bowl. Is Dak Prescott that? I looked at all the NFL quarterbacks. this is my opinion. I just want to see if you agree. I looked first at the AFC and chose quarterbacks that I think right now I feel are superior to Dak Prescott. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. The kid Stroud in Houston leveled off his second year, but he's such a good-looking young player. Patrick Mahomes and Herbert, the kid in Los Angeles with the Chargers. That's 6 in the AFC. In the NFC, Jalen Hurts, the kid Daniels in Washington, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford. Kyler Murray he's a little bit of a different situation. That's a bit of a question mark. And Brock Purdy. If you take that group, that's 13 alone. That would make Dak Prescott the 14th ranked quarterback. Now, there are others. Would you rather have Trevor Lawrence? Boy, the kid Bo Nix looked like he's got a future when he debuted in Denver this year. But let's just take that line. Even if you say Kyler Murray isn't there, well, that leaves Dak out of the top 12. How often does an out of the top 12 quarterback win the Super Bowl? Again, I do not want this to be a heavy criticism of Dak Prescott. He's not just some ground turkey meat playing quarterback. But you wonder, is he eventually going to fall into the Kirk Cousins range? Good quarterback, doesn't win a Super Bowl? And there are others. There are others moving around. I think Miami has a question about Tua. Look, people move in and out of that group. But the top of that group, those are special people. This year, Dak begins the first year of a 4-year, $60 million a year contract. The highest paid player in the National Football League. And 231 of that $240 million total is guaranteed. So, like it or not, the Cowboys are attached to Dak Prescott for the next 4 years. And by the way, as they redo his contract and kick the can forward again, maybe they're tied to Dak big money wise for 5 years or 6. I mean, look, when the Jets said goodbye to Aaron Rodgers and are going to make him a post-June 1 cut, he's going to count about $25 million against the cap each of the next 2 years. Look at Cousins in Atlanta. He's making $40-some million. You know what he is? He's a $40-some million backup quarterback to Michael Penix. The 2025 Cadillac Optique has arrived at Crest Cadillac, and it's a game changer. Huge curved display inside, available Super Cruise for hands-free driving, and all the latest savvy tech. It's like driving the future. The new 25 Cadillac Optique is gorgeous, sleek, modern Cadillac look. It's also super practical with tons of cargo space. And you can lease any 2025 Cadillac Optique this month and pay no sales tax. Visit Crest Cadillac to test drive an Optique today, off 121 on the tollway in Frisco, or online at CrestCadillacTX.com. Live your Crest life. In 1993, Bob opened the original Bob's Steak and Chop House on Lemon Avenue. 32 years later, the original Bob still greets you at the original Bob's. And now his sparkling new Bob's at Craig Ranch has opened in McKinney. Same fantastic beef and fresh seafood at these 2 Bob's, each run by the Bob. Bob's Steak and Chop House. I know the year before last, Dak was runner-up for the MVP. I looked at that season closely. Cowboys that year were 12-5 before getting demolished in the playoffs by the Packers in a game that was a very poor Dak game. But let's go to the regular season. I don't know when the last time a team had a set of opponents so soft as the Cowboys had. If you just take the NFL draft and you take the bottom 6 teams, those are the terrible teams of the NFL. That second in the MVP voting for Dak Prescott was in a year he played 7 games against the bottom 6 teams in the league, because 2 games against the Giants, of course, and 2 games against the Commanders, of course. I don't want to diss Dak's record. I really don't. I'm just trying to be honest here. We're going to talk about all sorts of Cowboy moves over the next week, month, summer, training camp. But a question continues for me. Is Dak Prescott good enough to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback?
Today's episode brought to you by Fluent Financial, Retire Sooner, Better Lifestyle. And by Crest Cars. There's good, there's better, and then there's Crest. And by Bob's Steak and Chop House.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges. If you enjoyed what you heard, please hit follow, and a fresh new episode will be delivered to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you know someone who might enjoy our work, please share it with them. I'm Norm Hitzges, and I'm always just wondering about something.
And I'm Mary Hitzges, and I'm just